My name's Alison Rana, and I drive a 707 horsepower, twin supercharged V8 Ferrari F430.
I'm Brenda Motter. I drive a 483 horsepower V8 Ferrari 430 F1.
I'm Leslie Aquino, and I drive a 585 horsepower Lamborghini Murcielago Roadster.
I've always been interested in cars, but supercars only really as an adult. When I was a teenager growing up, everyone had hot cars, like old Camaros and cars like that. So when I was 19, I got a 79 Corvette L82, and it was cool, and for its time, it was a great car. But as I got older and I met my husband, who always had a passion for supercars since before I even knew him, I started to sort of come of age in the car world.
I've always loved cars. I remember my first car, I specifically wanted a Standard because I loved the feel of driving a stick at the age of 16.
I think I've always been interested in cars in general, but I probably became most interested in sports cars working with Alison and Zaire. And they would come home and talk about all these exotic car trips they would go on and all their great cars. And when I got to design their garage and that, I got to see all the really cool cars they had. And that's when I became initially interested in supercars, or Ferraris and Lamborghinis.
When I was 16, I loved to drive fast. I'm my father's daughter, really, through and through. We're Italian, spent a lot of time driving in Europe, driving in Italy, learning the rules of the road in Europe, where everybody does drive a little bit faster than they do in North America.
I'm fortunate enough to drive a lot of different supercars. My main car that I drive when we go on car trips is the Lamborghini Diablo SE. It's a 2001, the final year that they made Diablos before they switched to the Murcielagos. They only made 37 of them. It's 550 horsepower. It's absolutely beautiful. I get a lot of attention, good attention when I drive it. People really admire it as a beautiful machine, so it's a great car.
I think Lamborghinis, there's something special about it because you just don't see them. There's something about the lines. It's just a sexy, beautiful monster, I like to call it. Because it's not an easy driving car, you know, it's big, it's bad, and it's heavy. I love it.
My husband and I organize a lot of car events in Canada, in Western Canada, in BC and Alberta. And then some of the people that we drive with help us organize events down in the States. So every year we probably go on at least 3 road trips with all of our friends, and we try to find new roads, new hotels, new restaurants, new places to see. I think we're running out of roads, so next year we're looking at possibly going out as far as Quebec and going on some roads around there and renting a racetrack out there. So we've never been able to incorporate road trips with racetracks at the same time, and this year I think that's the goal, is to plan all our trips around places where we can have a destination day and spend a day on the track, in a new track, somewhere different from what we're used to. Between my husband and I, we have a lot of cars that we collect. So I'm also lucky enough to be able to drive a lot of Ferraris. And when we have racetrack days, when we do rent the racetrack a few times a year with all of our friends, I usually like to drive a Ferrari because they're really made for the track and they do a really, really good job on the corners.
The Italians, they really, really know how to. I mean, Formula One speaks for itself. Who is the king? Ferrari, #1 still to date. When their cars are running, there's nobody that can beat them because they know how to make fast cars that go the distance and do the job.
I've driven an Enzo. We have an Enzo in our collection. It's 2003. It's beautiful, it's yellow, it's really standout.
The Enzo is a very easy car to drive, but once again, very powerful that you can be silly and lose the car you have to know how to drive them. It takes experience, but they are very fast.
Our garage at home, we have a lift where we store our two Ferraris. We have a 430, which we typically park on the bottom, and the 355 that's on the top level. Because we have the two, I have two different feelings about both cars. The 430, I like most about it is the F1 transmission. It allows you to concentrate on the track, on your lines and your apexes, and driving smoothly without having to worry about downshifting. At the same time, then, with the 355, I love the fact that you get to shift and you're connected to the road.
When you're on the track, you do see people go in the ditch. I've never seen a woman go in the ditch.
I find that, especially on the racetrack, and I hear this from a lot of instructors, that a lot of women are perfectionists, and they want to improve and they want to do well. So when we're out there learning how to drive the track, because you don't just get out there and drive, there's an art to it. There's a certain skill that needs to be built and developed, and it has to be built slowly. You can't just get out there and go as fast as you can, and you'll end up against the wall or off the road. So I've heard from a lot of instructors that the women drivers, and there's quite a few of us that drive on the track, improve very fast and learn very fast because we listen and we take the time to build the skill.
When I'm driving the Lamborghini and I've got my instructor beside me, he's telling me when, in certain situations, when to ease up, when to accelerate, and maybe I actually listen to him as opposed to somebody like my father who probably just goes faster when he should be slowing down.
I think when women see other women driving these cars, it helps them to realize that, in fact, it's something that they can do. It isn't just a realm of men driving, which I think has traditionally been the case, but they see that women are driving these cars, and not just driving them, but driving them well, driving them fast, under control, and doing very well. And they realize it's something that they can do as well.
The stereotype of men thinking they're the only ones that own the road is just wrong. They obviously have been men that have never gone to track or talked to people that have instructed female drivers. There's many excellent female drivers out there and that are driving supercars.
More than anything, I find it a little irritating that some men find that they're the only ones that should be able to drive. I don't think a lot of women that do drive take that seriously, but we do from time to time get comments or shocked looks.
I think that you see less females driving these cars because I think they think that there may be a risk with them. And I think of a lot of women started off on the track and worked with the driving instructor, and you realize you start at very slow speeds and you learn all the technical data to keep you safe, that if you would just do that, it's a great experience.
There are more male drivers of these supercars. You know, I've been on some of the drives where out of 50 drivers, there's 2 women, myself included. But I find that that stereotype is slowly easing off. People are starting to accept the female drivers out on the road in these supercars.
You tell Dale to quit cutting me off. He's trying to be cool and all and show off.
I would really like to see more women driving. It is absolutely a blast. It's not intimidating. It's really a release. Most of the women that I know that drive have very demanding jobs, very stressful jobs. I think the women take more work on these trips with them, laptops and briefcases, than the men do. And when you're on the road and you're challenging yourself and you're driving with a great group of people, you can't think about work. There's no way you can. So it completely gives you a shift of mental energy and physical energy that you wouldn't get any other way. It truly is a break, and it's challenging and rewarding and a lot of fun.